I'm looking towards and again, just a sprinkle, the Rams defense. Jalen Ramsey. I think maybe there might be a pick six that could elevate him to an MVP that would be good. I mean, he's making interceptions like crazy. Best cornerback, I think, in the league right now.
Gentlemen, we made it. The Super Bowl is here, our second to last episode for the season, which I'm starting to get emotional. But hey, the Hall of Famer, your Rams made it all the way through Orlando. By the way, you can't tell, but I'm going to peek behind the curtain here. Orlando is kicking it in Hawaii. I'm not exactly sure why, but that's amazing. Knicks in LA, and I'm just slumming it here in Chicago. Orlando, let's start with you. You Hall of Famer. Are you getting nervous for your Rams?
You know what? Not really, man. I'm more excited, man. I'm glad they obviously a couple weeks ago against the 49ers, it was a huge win. 49ers is probably one of the last 6 games, and they play a physical style offense. So really excited they got over that hump. Obviously they're getting healthy. I think the key pieces throughout the season, bringing Odell Beckham in, Von Miller, those additions are starting to pay dividends right now. So excited about it. Matthew Stafford, I think beating Tom Brady gave him some extra confidence. Hopefully that carries on to the Super Bowl. So I like the matchup. Obviously my Rams against Knicks, Cincinnati Bengals. I think it should be a really good matchup for the Rams. I think they got enough up front. That offensive line who gave up 9 sacks, they hadn't seen the likes of Aaron Donald. They don't play each other that often. So that's going to be a challenge.
We're going to get into the game in a second here, and a lot of news going on around the NFL. But literally nobody picked the Bengals to be here, Nick, and the 7-time Pro Bowler. I'd love to hear what's going on in LA, by the way. I know you had the double-double tonight. Congratulations on a great food choice, although those things do tend to have repercussions. What can you believe? Seriously, the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl, Joe Burrow in his second season, pretty incredible.
Yeah, I love it. But first, speaking about LA, I needed to get something off my chest. In-N-Out fries are terrible. I'm saying it here. They're terrible. I get them every time. I don't like them. And I will say, I think I enjoy In-N-Out Burger, but it's not the best burger I've ever had. And the only reason I get it is because I can't get it on the East Coast. So I'm putting that out there. You can clip that, and that's going to be our lead for this one. I'm still on In-N-Out, but they got some things they got to work out.
This now, I don't know if you guys know this about me, and this show is clearly not about me, but we did do the blind fast food chicken taste test, and Popeyes did win that crown over a delicious Wendy's, an overrated Chick-fil-A, and an atrocious KFC. But if you went blind taste test, fast food French fries, what do you think you would pick number one? Because that's an interesting call that you just dogged the In-N-Out fry. I'm wondering what would actually come out on top.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Number 1 is McDonald's. Number 2 is Arby's curly fries. Number 3 is Wendy's. That's anyone who questions that is wrong.
Nick, you're absolutely right. I was gonna say all 3 the same way, man. That you're absolutely, because I think McDonald's brainwashed us from kids from birth. We've always loved McDonald's fries, and Arby's. You sleep on Arby's curly fries, man. I'm telling you, whenever I go to Arby's, they don't make them home. They don't make it home. I'm telling you, those fries are amazing.
I appreciate the McDonald's fry. I haven't had the Arby fry in 25 years, but I think you're not giving the Wendy fry enough credit. That is like a borderline restaurant quality fry that Wendy's will kick out there. I mean, I appreciate the beauty of the McDonald's, but if you don't eat the McDonald's fry within 3 minutes of making, it turns into straight nasty. Whereas a Wendy, that thing has some staying power.
I agree.
I agree with that too. I don't think anyone thinks that they should have an extended period with any fast food, but you really need to come back to the Arby's curly fry. That'll change your tune, Carm. It'll change your tune.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. And by the way, I
Sorry,
had
we were talking about football or something.
Yeah. Well, I went.
Something, right?
And we'll get there. I mean, this show's already off the rails, so I'll just finish it up with. I had Steak and Shake the other last Saturday after a very tough tennis match loss that I know you guys care about. After Jersey Mike's sub into a Steak and Shake for the double cheese, the fries at Steak and Shake strong. It was. I really enjoyed myself. All right, okay. Let's go on a complete flip here, and let's actually get into how the NFL can make themselves better. Brian Flores is suing the league. We now have 2 black head coaches with Lovey getting hired. There's a lot of guys that I would have picked over Lovey to get that job, but that's fine. Regardless, we don't have to go there. What's Orlando? What was your reaction to Brian? Getting the text from Bill Belichick, and then ultimately deciding, you know what, this is BS. I'm going to sue the NFL and put any chance really that I'm ever going to have to coach again in serious jeopardy.
Yeah, I think my initial thought was it really wasn't a surprise. If you just look at the numbers and just see, at the time it was one African-American coach and Mike Tomlin, who's had success in this league. So, there was something going on there. I think Bill Belichick, whether it was, he says it's a mistake or whatever it might be, kind of exposed kind of what happens behind the scenes. And for him to go in and for the Giants to go in and have that decision already made and still kind of go through the interviewing process, it sheds some light on the hiring practices and the fact that we even need a Rooney Rule is ridiculous in this day and age. So when you get 32 billionaires together, it makes it very difficult for you to force them to hire a certain person. Obviously they all want to win, but obviously they're going to control who they hire and fire.
To me, like the Belichick thing is like that's like down the line of the offensiveness of the whole thing. Because I mean I've had a lot of interviews in my life where I knew I wasn't getting the job, and it's kind of they're giving you the interview, but it's more where the league is at. I mean, Nick, how are you seeing this?
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. I think the Belichick texts are funny, just that it seems so Belichickian that he would mix up who he's texting. Like I don't know how he has his names and put it into his phone, but to mess that up seems kind of like a big deal. And it's tough because you play on a team, and I think the statistics show that I believe the NFL is 70% African American, and yet you still only have 2 African American head coaches. Just doesn't jive with what you're looking at when you're looking at the coaching to the players. And I don't think the Rooney Rule does what it's supposed to do. I think it allows teams to give a cover to say, yes, listen, we interviewed, a minority candidate, but we're going with this guy anyways. It seems like, and there's so many position coaches and then coordinators who just never get the opportunity. And I don't know if that comes from the owners, from how the GMs go, or kind of that good old boy network of coaches. The coaches, every time you talk to someone, like, oh, I told this guy, 10 years ago, if I got a head coaching job, he would be my offensive line coach. And, that trickles down. So, where that stems from, how it goes, it's kind of a big old mess that they have themselves, which we've all known about for a long time. And, I don't know how you rectify it. Because obviously the Rooney Rule has not worked to what you want. I don't see how you have the solution to fix the problem when you have a problem.
Yeah, and then I know we always talk about having African-American offensive and defensive coordinators, and you can look at a couple, for example, Eric Bieniemy with the Kansas City Chiefs, who has his offense completely, in terms of play calling and what they've done offensively the past few years. For him not to have a head coaching job, for the past 3 years, the success he has, it really speaks volumes. Even Tampa Bay, Byron Leftwich down there, who won a championship with Tom Brady, African American offensive coordinator. Those guys can coach, and they won championships. And for some reason, what I don't know. Well, we know the reason, but obviously, I'm glad Flores is really he's really fallen on the sword for not only his career but for the cause. So that's admirable by him.
Do you guys believe? And I'm not here calling Brian Flores at least bit of a liar here. So I'm going to say that it's got to be true, but it just seems incredible to me that an owner would be that brazen to be like, "Hey, lose games, and I'll give you $100,000 per loss." Like, that's just crazy to me that somebody would feel like, "Hey, I can say this to this guy, and I'm going to not have any repercussions." That's nuts. But I do. Does that sound like something that would happen?
You know what? There were slogans going around tanking for Tua, like everybody's trying to get that next quarterback. So when you start looking at some games, you start looking, there could be some truth there. And obviously, with the Browns, they came out with Hugh. He came out and said something about the Browns were doing the same thing. So there could be some truth there. It's just unfortunate because you turn around a couple years later and you fire those same guys for not winning ball games. So those, if those accusations are true, they shouldn't be allowed to be owners anymore in the National Football League.
And this show is sponsored by WinBet. Okay, like you can't have that when literally the amount of money that's being gambled on the NFL. That's not going to be kept quiet, right? I mean, Nick, that's crazy.
It is crazy, and I feel like I feel like Brian has to have just the supreme evidence of that happening to come forward with it, because he said, she said type thing isn't going to stand in court, and it's going to make waves, but it's not going to get anything done. So I assume that he has evidence of it, and that lawsuit's going to go on unless he settles, and we'll find out. But what I find crazy in the whole idea is, the whole tanking. When people talk about tanking and teams want to go through that, you look at it, like Flores has to go through it. They allegedly want to tank, and so they do that. They get there. He ends up getting fired. Like we talked about Lovie Smith, who looks like he should belong in the Castaway movie with that new beard. I did not know he had that going, so I appreciate that. Like he took a Texans job where the Texans are not good and they don't have a quarterback. And now he's taken, a bad situation where he has no quarterback. Are they going to continue to tank to find someone new and he's just going to get fired in 2 years? Like this whole cycle of tanking to try to get to a quarterback, but then starting over with a new regime just doesn't seem to be working out with teams.
Yeah, I get that we don't have any real solutions here, but Orlando, maybe I don't know if this sounds right, but I'm saying, like, look, classes on unconscious bias. You should have to sit in there and realize that, and there's nothing wrong with it. People have judgments of other people. You're going to have that. What you got to be able to do is like, oh, that's something that I was taught or learned or whatever. That I am now as a grown adult. I'm going to get past that, and I'm going to hire the best guy for the job. And to me, that's like, I don't know what else you can do here, because you can't force anybody to hire people.
I think the one thing, and this is outlandish as it sounds, I thought if the players want to stand up, obviously, I think the Pro Bowl would have been easier to sit out of, but owners don't pay attention till you start messing with their wallets, right? So, obviously, if they were strong enough to say, hey, let's sit out of this Super Bowl, which sounds completely outlandish, that affects the bottom line. Now somebody has to look at their hiring practices. They have to go into their organization to make sure everything's above board. Because if you think about it, if you're in a corporate America and you have these type of hiring practices, CEOs are fired, people are it's complete chaos. And we can just see that, just during the Me Too movement in itself, but just hiring practices alone, with the ownership, NFL ownership, nobody vets those guys. Nobody goes into these organizations and say, hey, are you guys behaving according to, what's correct in society? And 9 times out of 10, they're not. And, obviously, and Roger Goodell gets a lot of heat, but people fail to realize he works for the owners. So he'll take all the bullets and whatever comes along, but they tell him what to do. He doesn't tell the owners what to do.
Well, you're underlining the courage of Brian Flores, because I'm willing to give up money.
Coaching
And
career.
Coaching career. Same thing with Cap, where like if you're that dude, everyone, no one was saying he was a top 10 quarterback, but he was quarterback 24 to 33. You're in the league. And some guys stood up for him, but it wasn't, across. And I mean, I interviewed Craig Hodges, who was in the NBA, and he got, in his mind, he was blackballed after going to the White House, and he tried to get Magic and Michael to boycott the 91 finals. There's so much, people, they love playing the sport and they love the money they're making. It's hard, to build that, but I hear what you're saying. And I want to shout out my guy, Nick Wright, who does great work over at Fox Sports 1. He said, like, look, imagine the NHL and half the coaches are black compared to, it's kind of the same thing. Like you got, 97% of the league is white. And I don't know where we're going from here, but at any rate, I appreciate you guys having the conversation. Let's get to the game here. And specifically, Nick, let's start with our guy, Matt Stafford. Chance to win the whole thing here. If Stafford pulls this off, leaving Detroit and bringing the Rams to a Super Bowl, is he all of a sudden the guy that should be considered for the Hall of Fame? I mean, how high is up for Matt Stafford if they wins this football game?
I mean,
Orlando.
It's, I would say he's definitely not. If he wins a Super Bowl, he's still not a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he would probably get in at some point because there's only 50. There will only be 56 Super Bowl winners at that point. With Tom having 6 of them, so you're dropping the number. Number keeps getting smaller, so I think he would still be put in that list, but he would fall into. He wouldn't fall into. He'd fall below the Aaron Rodgers category, where Aaron only has 1. He has much better stats. And so, when you're talking Hall of Fame, where does that stand? Yes, he toiled in Detroit, but maybe if he was better, he would have elevated that team further. So I think it does. I think if he gets the win here, he will be a Hall of Famer. But I think it's going to take some time.
Before you answer, Orlando, let me just give you some stats here. Stafford ranks top 12 among NFL quarterbacks all time in completions. He's 11th, 4,302. Passing yards, now granted the era, he's 12th, 49,995. Passing yards per game, 4th all time, 274.7. Now also playing on a bad Detroit team, so he's throwing the ball all the time, but put it all in there. Touchdown passes, 12th, 323. And maybe his most impressive stat, game-winning drives. He's 7th with 42. That's you kind of sleep on him, right?
Yeah, you don't even think about it. He has a ton of passing yards just because Detroit was always behind for the past 6 or 7 years. So he's been racking up passing yards. I didn't realize he was so close to being top 10, and he still has a lot of years of good football left in him. So if he wins this Super Bowl, it kind of wipes away all that Detroit. He can blame everything on bad coaching, organization, everything. But I think he does get in the Hall of Fame, depending on how he wins. If he's 400 yards and no interceptions and 2 touchdowns, and obviously he'll be the savior in LA. They'll love him for life. And with that big media market, they'll give him a push and get him into the Hall of Fame ultimately. But obviously, go ahead, Nick.
He did that. Those numbers are inflated because he had Megatron, who got in first ballot Hall of Fame as his receiver for 8 years, 9 years. Like that's. Yeah. I mean, I could throw to Megatron.
Hey, I'm telling you, Nick, when they do the voting, they're going to look at his stats. They're going to remember this Super Bowl if he wins it, and they're going to be like, "Hey, let's put him in." And then what he does from here on out, if he does win a Super Bowl, will help propel him into, obviously the Hall of Fame stature. So to your point, yeah, I think he does get in if he wins a Super Bowl, because his argument will be, well, look at my yardage, look at my completions. Aaron, to your point, Aaron only won one Super Bowl. Hey, we're in the same, category basically.
Well, if you want to do Aaron, and this is going to be two numbers here, but Stafford 4,302 passes completed. Rodgers 4,651. Rodgers played longer now. Yards, Rodgers has it by about 6,000. 49.95 to 55.360, but 12th and 10th per game. Stafford's got him. Touchdown passes, he's 12th. Rodgers is 5th. Game-winning drives, Rodgers is 27th. Stafford is 7th. If he wins it, he's got as many Super Bowls as Aaron. But the thing is that he has never been looked at like that's the best quarterback going right now. Like he's never had that type of juice. So
yeah,
I mean, how many MVPs has Stafford won? There you go. So you're racking up numbers, but no one along the course of the career so far has said, hey, listen, this guy's winning games for his team.
Yeah. All right. What about Burrow? Second year in the league. Where are you going to put him with the young quarterbacks if Joe Burrow pulls this off? By the way, I think we're putting too much emphasis on one game. We've had these conversations before, but Allen, Mahomes. Does Joe vault himself into the top three above Lamar, above Herbert, above Kyler Murray? Would you even put him above Josh Allen, who was absolutely positively insane, insanely good in the loss to Kansas City, Orlando? I mean, but Burrow's got something about him that's super impressive.
You know what? To go in Arrowhead and beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs was phenomenal. I know that defense did a great job in that second half. You have to put him up right behind Mahomes. I think he's higher than Josh Allen to me personally, just because he's so cool and collective. And he doesn't have as many weapons, I think, as Josh Allen has. And, obviously Herbert can't even get in the playoffs. So, when you look at him, I think he's Mahomes is one, he's 1A in terms of young quarterback. I can't wait for the next couple of years to watch him play, see how he develops, because he's a tough kid. He stands in the pocket, takes a ton of hits, and still wins ball games. So you got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, I would agree. You look at these young quarterbacks. If Joe Burrow gets the win, I think it immediately propels him past everybody, up to Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick is still ahead of him, but you're looking now. He doesn't have the theatrics of Patrick, but you're looking at 1A and maybe 1B. If he doesn't win, he gets tossed into that Lamar, Josh Allen, let's see, Herbert's in there, of quarterbacks that are fantastic and play really well, but they haven't gotten over the hump. So I think the win would definitely establish him as the clear number 1B or 2. And then if he doesn't win, I think he's had amazing accomplishments in year 2 coming off injury. So I think he probably has comeback player of the year coming down the pike, because everyone kind of forgets that he, ended the season on IR. And he's playing fantastic, got his team to the Super Bowl. So but he's back in that mix. If he doesn't win the Super Bowl, he gets into that crowded field of these are amazing young quarterbacks, but we still don't know their end potential.
Nick, like you were ranking the fries before, give me your ranking here. Give me top 5: Mahomes, Burrow, Jackson, Herbert, Murray, Allen. I'll even throw Dak Prescott in there.
Are we?
All right, so it's Mahomes. And then for the sake of argument, we haven't played the game yet. So I'm going to go Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Murray, Herbert, Jackson. Yep, that's my order.
Ooh.
You left Dak out, but I'm just going to put him somewhere.
He's too old. He doesn't get thrown into the
Fair
young
enough.
kid.
He's only 28, but that's fine. We'll just leave him out. Okay, top five, Orlando.
Is this all upcoming quarterbacks? We're not doing Aaron Rodgers. We're doing whatever.
Yep, all upcoming.
All right, gotcha. I'm going obviously Mahomes, and I'll reserve the right on Joe Burrow. If he wins, he catapults over Josh Allen. I like Kyler at number 3, Lamar, and then Herbert. Dak is probably down at the, he's not even upcoming. We kind of know what he is, but I really like what those young quarterbacks are going to be in the future. So excited to see them. Oh, we didn't say Mac Jones. Is Mac Jones, is he a guy that's in there?
In a very smoke-filled production meeting, we debated Mac Jones, but we left him off.
No, I like that. So mine would be Pat Mahomes, obviously, Josh Allen. Who did I say? Kyler Murray? No, Burrow.
You go Burrow
Kyler,
3, then Murray. Okay.
Yeah, Murray, and then Jackson. Yep.
Okay. All right. Lot of talent. A lot of talent. All right. Let's take a little look at winbet.com and who wins Super Bowl MVP. And now obviously the quarterbacks are at the top of the list here. And then you go down the list, and Cooper Kupp is plus 600. Burrow is at plus 210, and Matthew Stafford is plus 115. You can go off the board and be creative here. Super Bowl MVP prediction. Nick, why don't you go for this one?
All right, so this isn't. I'm going out of the box here, and it goes against how I'm leaning for this game, so it's even more out of the box. But it deserves a little sprinkle because I think it could be an opportunity. If this game goes not the way that I'm thinking it will, and the Rams win, and it's a tough contested ball game where the Bengals defense shows up, the Rams defense show up, low scoring, no one's really playing that great on offense. I'm looking towards and again, just a sprinkle, the Rams defense. Jalen Ramsey, I think maybe there might be a pick 6 that could elevate him to an MVP that would be good. I mean, he's making interceptions like crazy. Best cornerback, I think, in the league right now. He's sitting at plus, as of now, plus 10,000. That could be, it's not what I want to happen. It's not what I think is going to happen, but it could be a little something that you think, hey, maybe I put it on there and see what happens.
Oh, they're gonna throw at him. He's gonna be covering Chase, so he's gonna have his opportunities. That's for sure. I like it. What do you got, Orlando?
You know what? For me, first of all, I think Larry Brown, was he the last cornerback to win the Super Bowl MVP, or is that, Jalen Ramsey's a great choice. I was looking at Jalen Ramsey, and they're obviously the odds there. But for me, I think this guy's going to absolutely wreck this game. And I know it's an easy call, Aaron Donald. If you're thinking, if I'm thinking outside of the box, obviously every quarterback's going to win it. Either Stafford or Burrow's going to win it for more times than not. But if you're thinking outside the box, I think Aaron Donald's just going to wreck this game. 2 sacks, maybe a caused fumble or something like that. So I think, if I'm a betting man, I like the odds with Aaron Donald.
Plus 1,600 if you put it on Donald. So he's getting some juice right now. By the way, off the board, Ben Skoranek, former Northwestern Wildcat, did transfer to Notre Dame, which hurt my heart, but plus 30,000. Let's go, Skoranek. Have a day, baby. Bring it for the Cats. All right. You named a sleeper pick to win your Super Bowl MVP. You have another one, Nick?
This one to me, because of the odds, stood out to me. And I'm going against the favorite. I'm taking the team to have a first sack will be the Bengals. I believe it's plus 200. Everyone is banking on Von Miller and Aaron Donald to cause havoc and everything. But Matthew Stafford can get sacked as well. So I kind of like the odds that I'm getting for the Bengals to get the first sack.
Ooh.
Let's talk about the home factor of this. What do you think, Orlando? Playing at home, does this matter? You get to sleep in your bed all week, and I mean, ticket prices for the game are through the roof. So I'm assuming the Rams are going to have the. I guess it's the place to be out in LA. So they're going to get some pseudo fans in there. They're going to put on the colors and scream here. Does this matter?
You know what? It really does. I think people look at it as an advantage. I played in the Super Bowl and I could not wait to get to the destination where I was at because there's so much that's happening. Families coming in town. You don't want family at your house. And I don't know if that's an advantage or disadvantage. I did have a conversation with somebody the other day, and if I was the Cincinnati Bengals, because the Rams are the visiting team, I would completely screw them up and put them in the visitors' locker room. And for players, Nick, as you know, being at home field, you get the hot tubs you want. The home locker room is so much better than the visiting locker room. I would completely switch it up on the Rams and make them go in the visitor locker room just to shake them up a little bit. But I know Zach Taylor and obviously Sean McVay are good friends. Probably won't happen, but I'll probably do the same. But I think the home field advantage isn't really an advantage because there's so many different people at the game. The Rams will have some, a large contingency there along with Cincinnati, but there's so many corporations, just NFL fans in general that's going to be at the game. It's more of a spectacle, entertainment deal. So there's not a real advantage of playing at home other than, sleeping in your own bed, which could be a disadvantage.
That's a good point. Like you get family in all the time, and so being at home, I would be intrigued, and I haven't looked to see if they have taken the team and moved them to a hotel, so that way they didn't have to deal with the family issues. People staying in houses. I'm also intrigued about how they picked the locker room. I didn't realize the Rams were technically the away team for the Super Bowl, so that would mess. I mean, I know it would mess me up. Like if I was going into MetLife Stadium and I was using a different locker room, which I think happened once when we were playing the Giants in a preseason game. Or no, we've always had our own locker room. I've seen the visitor locker room. It's very weird. And so to go into a visitor locker room in your own stadium, I think would be definitely off-putting. But as far as like the crowd goes, we know LA has not had a great home crowd. The way that they were, trying to tell people not to sell their tickets to the 49ers fans, having to spell that out shouldn't be a necessity. So I don't think the home thing, I mean, we all saw the photo of Rob Lowe, I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago, where he was watching the Super Bowl and he had a hat that just had the NFL shield on it. Like, all right, you're a fan of the NFL, like, indifferent. So I think it's going to be the same. It's just going to be, how both teams handle the excitement of the game. I think that's the big one. And obviously I've never played in one, but I got to assume that, you're going into the game. There's such buildup. Everyone knows like how big this game is. Can you manage that?
I'm looking at these ticket prices. I mean, you could sit in the lower level for $9,700. That's your best value down there. But they are selling these lower level VIPs $38,000, $46,560. Somebody in 112 down there is trying to sell, and the cheapest seats are upper corner right now is $3,347. You guys got tickets and you were not allowed to sell them, but you all sold them. Can I get a story on how that works? Because I know you have to sign something that says I won't sell these, and then you guys go straight out and sell them. It's like this thing that you get. It's a benefit of being an NFL player, right?
Oh,
I don't know what you're talking about.
What's the statute of limitations here, man?
I don't know nothing about nothing.
I just gave mine away face value. That was it. Nothing to it.
I mean, okay. I think the statute of limitations is well past. And
no, Carm, I'll talk to you in at least 10 years, maybe 15.
Hold on, I'm still getting tickets from the Rams, so I can't say a word, man.
But
didn't it use tickets? I don't get tickets.
Didn't it used to be though that they would give you the seats like at the facility, but I think now you have to go to the venue to get them. They're trying to curtail what's been going on. So now you got to go out to LA in this case, get the seats, and then okay, now you go sell these for me on StubHub or whatever guys are doing.
Hey, don't believe that though, because the owners and the people in the front office of every team, they hold back some tickets and they're selling them to corporations at a ridiculous dollar. So don't let the rules fool you on that. Let me just say that much. There's a lot of tickets to be had out there.
Oh, we know that the billionaires are becoming even bigger billionaires. I don't doubt that for even a tenth of a second. All right.
What I love was the before they went to the you have to go to the venue to pick them up, and it was just this table sitting there, and they would just be giving your 2 tickets. You just go up, you sign, they give you tickets. There would be guys there ready to go. Give me your tickets. Give me your tickets. Give me your tickets.
Full of money.
And it would always be the veteran guys coming down to the younger guys, like, hey, give me your tickets. There's something in your locker for you, and you just go along your way. And it was so beautifully blatant that you're like, well, it is what it is.
Right. That's what it was. Dudes bring cash to the locker room, like, appreciate you, and then from there, it's business. Come on, this is the benefits. All right, let's move it along here. And Nick, you mentioned it, whatever. I mean, you played in enormous AFC Championship games. Is there a huge difference in preparing for the Super Bowl? Like, how different is Super Bowl week than a regular week? What would you
Orlando,
say?
You got to take this one.
I'll take this. I think the biggest thing is just the media availability and those distractions where you get, media days, one thing, you get people from all over the country asking you like different types of questions. Everything's kind of heightened, national media from everywhere around the world. So that's the main thing, to get that out of the way, get family requests, tickets, all that. That's what makes this game so different. There's so many other distractions during the course of a week where preparation almost seems like it's on the back burner, and you're kind of exhausted just going through all that those distractions in terms of media requests and ticket requests and all those things that happens. But, obviously at some point you got to hone down and really pay attention to details in the Super Bowl, and don't let the moment get any bigger than it is. You realize you're in the Super Bowl, but once you get on that field, it's just a normal football game, and you have to play it that way. So.
Yeah, and not the Super Bowl, Nick, but like just even leaving the AFC Championship game, was Rex like, hey, this is regular week, or I mean, how foot fetish and everything else? Let's how did he handle it?
No, I think Orlando hit the nail on the head. Like, when you start the playoffs, and the 2 runs that we started in the wild card round. You see, you go through 16 games and you see your regular media people. They're there, every practice, and you're kind of used to the beat and everything. And then once you hit the playoff, all of a sudden, each game you take, more and more people start showing up. And by the time we hit the AFC Championship game, we were practicing indoors at the facility, and the whole field was lined with media. When usually you only have 10 to 15 people there, now you have 120 people there, and so it's amazing how much more everyone gets more scrutinized. There's more media, there's more cameras, there's more requests, and so it's kind of handling all that as you go through it.
Do guys watch the Super Bowl if they're not playing in the Super Bowl, or is it like too painful? I didn't make it. Don't care. Not rooting for either of these teams. I'm going on vacation.
Yeah, you know what? It depends on the matchup, or if you got friends on the team or whatever it might be. It has to be a good matchup of 2 good teams that you feel comfortable. You don't mind watching. But obviously, if you're not at the game, you're probably at some Super Bowl party, paying attention, not really paying attention, having a good time anyway, enjoying the festivities, not really glued to the TV like you would a normal Sunday. But, you want to see different plays or big plays or whatever. But I was never really in tune to the game. I'm always trying to have a good time, enjoy the Super Bowl festivities.
Yeah, I had the good fortune, bad fortune. We lost the AFC Championship game to the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2011, and my son was born on Super Bowl Sunday, 2011, where the Steelers were playing the Packers. My roommate from college was playing for the Packers, so I hated Pittsburgh, and I was rooting for him. So I sat there with my, at the time he was, 6 hours old son, and we watched the Super Bowl. So that became our tradition. And so we watch Super Bowl, every year. I make sure I'm home, make sure that we're watching it together. So I don't think I really pay that much attention to it, especially, as he's been growing up. Like we would be playing dinosaurs or cars or something while the game was going on. But now that he's more in tune to it, I think I watch it a little bit more closely because he's asking questions. So it's one of those things, and it wasn't that hard for me to watch a Super Bowl after the end of the year, not being there, because I knew that day was our day together.
Love it. I can't wait to get to the picks here, and playoff Orlando, by the way, did not come strong last week. But it was a rough 0-4. But I have a theory that I want to throw out here. No one's saying this. Very few. Look, Tom Brady can still play football, and when you're an elite person at something, it is hard to not do things that you're elite at, even if you're 44 years old. And I get that he's got family obligations and whatnot. I think that we haven't seen the last of him on a football field. I think that he's going to be a pain in the ass at home. Gisele's going to look at him like, great, you did this for me and the family, but now you're annoying and you're throwing footballs into the couch or whatever he's going to be doing. So and listen, he's going to be in the top 5 MVP voter this year. So my theory is that Brady's not done, but does everybody else here, Nick, let's start with you. Do you think Brady is actually done playing football?
I'm going to say yes for his legacy. You say he's going out on, he's top 5 probably in the MVP voting. He didn't obviously win the Super Bowl this year, but he did just win one before. I think he's got to look at the Brett Favre and the way that he handled it, and the way that, it never really turned out great for him, doing the retiring, unretiring, getting traded, going around. So I would like to believe that he's going to see that and be like, listen, I don't want that as the end of my legacy. I want to say, hey, listen, I went, I won all these championships in New England. I went to another team. I won a championship there. It showed that it was me, not Bill, and I'm out.
Yeah, I think he's done also. I think when you look at as a professional player, once you make that call and say, hey, I'm retired, like your mind completely goes somewhere else. I think you're just, you've come to grips with it when you make that announcement. And then, obviously if he takes a year off or a few months off, at 44, that's different to bounce back if he ever thought about coming back. But, because it's a regimen every year. And I'm sure he'll get that itch at some point to think he can still play or still go out and play. But, obviously the father time catches up with us all. And he's been fortunate enough for a number of years to still play at a high level and still get it done. But at some point, he's going to hit that cliff and it's going to fall off a little bit. And then what team could he possibly go to? Because Tampa Bay wouldn't look the same. And what other team would bring him in, a 44-year-old, 45-year-old aging quarterback? Obviously, although he's the GOAT, it still would be difficult for even Tom Brady.
Ooh. All right, just save the tape. Save the tape. I want this archived.
Hey, Mark, are you a Tom Brady fan though? For some reason, because I think you don't want to see him go. You don't want to see him go.
No, I'm not. But like in fact, like I listen. Deflategate to me is I don't think gets enough mention. Like dude, bent the rules. Damn it. Does he really get GOAT? Does he get GOAT? Shouldn't that be at least a knock on the GOAT status? And I just, as far as like players that I enjoyed watching play football at the quarterback position, yes, he was the greatest winner and got the most out of his talent and all that stuff, but there's like a zillion guys that I would rather watch play the position than him. So for whatever that's worth. But I also think like when you're really good at something and you clearly still want to be playing, but you're doing it for other things, like I think he's, I mean, I'm not like, listen, when we get off this Zoom, I'm going to go eat some Talenti and crush some ice cream and have some chips. This dude, I think he's probably laying in bed right now thinking about, I'm going to get up tomorrow and I'm going to do Pilates and then I'm going to eat kale. Like, I don't think you can get it out of him. I think he's going to, so we'll see. All right, let's make some money here. WinBet.com for all your gambling needs. Orlando, of course, as we might have slipped in there, 0-4 last week, but still 500 on the year, 31-31. Nick just been crushing it. 3-1 last week. Now 36-24-1. If you've been listening to Nick Mangold on Big Man Bets, you've been making dough. You had the Bengals last week, Nick. You had the Niners. You had the under as well. 46.5 coming through at 37 in the San Francisco win. So yeah, that's a good job with the Niners covering and the numbers staying low. But all right, let's go to our picks this week here. Super Bowl. So that Nick, you're up first here. Who you taking? Let's go. 4 points.
4 points. I got to ride with him. I'm a hometown hero. I love it. Love Ohio. Going with Ohio's son, Joe Burrow. He's bringing the championship home to the Bengals. I'm taking them +4. Give it to me every way, all the way up to Sunday.
I like the Ohio reference there, Nick. I'm an Ohio guy too. I love Ohio, but I'm going with the LA Rams to beat the obviously the Cincinnati Bengals. I just think, and we mentioned it a little earlier, Jalen Ramsey or Jamar Chase, I think he'll do a great job of locking him down a little bit, at least containing him. And then Aaron Donald, Von Miller, this is their time to shine. They'll put pressure on Joe Burrow, and it will be too much for the Cincinnati Bengals.
The total on this game, Orlando, is 48.5. How are you seeing that one?
Yeah, I think it's going to be over. I'm going over with 48.5. I think it'll be somewhat of a shootout. I think Cincinnati will put up some points. Obviously, the Rams will put up just a few more, but I think it'll be over 48.5.
Nick?
For me to win this bet, the Rams defense cannot play well. So I got to take the over. If I want Cincinnati to win, the over has to happen.
If you want Cincinnati to win, the over has to happen. That's how I'm betting it, for the record. I got the Bengals and I got the over. Not that I get to play in this part of the show, but that's what I'm doing. 27-24, damn it. Let's go. All right, prop bets. I don't know if you've looked at this, Orlando, and have you gone deep on it, Nick? You got any favorite props?
I'm sticking with my first sack, Cincinnati Bengals. I like it. I'm going with it. It's going to be a fun one. It'll be over in the first 2 series, and you can get back into it, live betting different props.
I haven't researched the prop bet too much, probably spending too much time on the beach here in Hawaii, but I'm going to stick with Aaron Donald. I think Aaron Donald wins the Super Bowl MVP.
Ooh.
100.
Gentlemen, we've got one more show before we wrap up our first ever season. It's been a ton of fun, and for the record, we did a little late night recording tonight for everybody out there in Big Man Bets world. So this has been our first late night Big Man Bets. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Everybody have a great time on Sunday. If you are, doing what people do on the Super Bowl, don't go on the roads afterwards. Enjoy yourself. And crush some wings and everything else. Do we have a favorite food on Super Bowl Sunday? Is there a must eat for either of you?
I'm a wing guy, so wings are always good for game time. That's me.
Nick?
I'm a chili guy. Gotta have chili.
Can't go wrong with either of those. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Big Man Bets for all your gambling needs. WinBet, WYNNBET.com.
Happy Super Bowl.